rebuilding. A catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40. We focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 149 of the Silverback Blueprint Podcast. That's right, we're almost at 150. Take your shit to the next level. I bet by now, if you guys have been listening to these podcasts for any amount of time, you've started to work on setting some goals, maybe try to look at what your purpose is. You may even be rocking some rituals on a daily basis or quasi-daily or weekly, or you did it one time. But you got to ask yourself, where are you now with that? Have you kept it up? Is your excitement and energy to acquire that goal or to work, towards that purpose, is it slowly waning or has it even stopped? Because like anything, guys, we're always excited out of the gate. We're in the glow of the newness of the thing that we're doing. Right? We're pumped. We're excited. This is the year. This is it. I'm making the change. I'm going to be fucking president. Whatever. Right? And we talk about having, finding your purpose and setting big goals and stuff. And you can't help but be pumped. But what happens when that dust settles? What happens when the cheering stops and the podcast is turned off and you're just alone with your thoughts driving in your car, heading off to work or your business or your kid's hockey game or whatever, or doing the groceries? The day-to-day, the normal stuff. This is the hard part, guys. This is where most of us fail. This is where most of us get up to and then stall. And then we got to catch ourselves and go again. And that's normal, guys. No one bats 1,000. No one sits there and says, all right, I'm never doing this again. And sure enough, they never fucking do it again. Or this is the new ritual. I'm going to jog every day. And, 2 years later, they're running fucking 50-mile runs. It doesn't happen that way. But we have to catch ourselves. We have to make ourselves self-aware. Where are we at with that? We're going to come back to it. We have to ask ourselves, are we 100% in? Because in order to move mountains, you have to take your shit to that next level. And when we're trying to change behaviors and patterns and outcomes, we are moving mountains. We're breaking the status quo. We're doing things we haven't done before. And it's not natural. It's not comfortable. We always want to go back to where we were comfortable, to our stasis. That point where we do just enough to get by and everyone's kind of happy-ish, right? We're not causing any waves. We get paid every 2 weeks. There's food on the table. It's natural that we kind of just, sit back, get a little lazy. But that's not the way we're going to make the changes. That's not the way we're going to create the outcome that we want, the life that we want, the version of ourselves that we really want to be. So to get past that hard part, it's going to take some effort. It's going to take a lot of fucking effort. I think we underestimate how much effort it's going to take. We get excited by the idea of what it is. But then we have to get down to what it's going to take day to day, especially at first, to do the things that have to get done when nobody's fucking watching. I'm always reminded when I think about that, when we look at Instagram posts and Facebook posts. And listen, guys, I'm always posting positive stuff because I believe in being positive. Anyone listening to me knows that. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a pretty positive guy for the most part. I keep my negativity deep down. And I work on, making that better all the time. And I'm in a lot better place than I was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 4 years ago, since I'm sober especially. But it's an ongoing process. Sometimes it's a battle. And sometimes it's just doing what has to get done irregardless. And that's where I'm going into with this, is that to go to that level, to take your shit to the next level, to make those changes, You've got to do the things that you don't want to do all the time. And that's everything from, food prep, exercising daily, rituals, reading, rest, doing them consistently, purposefully. This is the hard part. And that doesn't even take in consideration the roadblocks that we're going to run into, the disappointments, the acts of God, the in-laws, all the external forces that we talked about earlier coming against us all the time. They're always going to be there. And in fact, when we go to make changes, they seem bigger and more powerful because we're in a point of uncertainty, because we're doing new things. So we're a little more vulnerable, a little more susceptible, a little more raw. But this is exactly why your goals and your purpose need to be big. They need to be huge. Because the fight's going to be tough. The lows are going to be very low. The highs are going to be high, but they're going to be few and far between, especially at first. You have to step up hard. And we're not going to do that for small, easy goals. Because a small, easy goal will be like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it next week. Yeah, I got time to do that. But we set up the big goals and the big purpose and the big changes and the big commitments. When we hit it hard like that, we're forced to have to deal with it because they're bigger goals. And if you're going to go through all that work, if you're going to put yourself through all that shit, why not do it for a bigger goal? Right now I'm reading Grant Cardone's 10X Factor. We'll put a little thing in the episode about that, so Grant and his team of lawyers don't fucking ravage my ass and sue me for using his name. But cool book. I'm just getting into it and stuff. Familiar with Grant Cardone. If you're not, look him up on the interwebs. All about sales, all about getting shit done, but he's all about 10Xing things. And one of the cool things he said just earlier in the book when I was reading it is that we underestimate how hard it's going to be, and we underestimate how much thought is going to be required to 10X things, to go after the big goals, the truly big things. And I think that's really interesting. But if we're going to go after something, we need to make it to the point where, you see people say, well, if your goals don't scare you, then they're not really challenging enough. I think there's some truth to that. But I think your goals need to be big to the point where they force you to step up. Recently, we just ran one of our seminars at the gym for benching, Bench 2.0, where we work with bands, boards, and chains. And every time I run it, we've always got 3 or 4 powerlifting meets in the pipeline at Hostile. So every year we run 3 or 4 powerlifting meets. So basically every quarter we're getting ready for a meet. And inevitably when I'm running these seminars and people ask me, what's the next thing they should do and how to keep improving, I tell them, sign up for a meet. And I had one guy the other day say, well, you're saying that because you're running meets. And I'm like, yep, that's exactly why I'm saying it. But I said, let's go a little deeper. Why not ask me why I run meets? He goes, well, it's good for your business. I go, yes. But I said, let's go a little deeper than that. So then he looked at me and he's trying to be a bit of a smartass. And at one point he realized he just didn't know what to say. And I said, I'll tell you why I run meets. Because I powerlifted and benched for years before I ever competed. I never felt I was going to be strong enough to compete. So I was waiting until I was strong enough to compete. I could bench almost 500 pounds by the time I did my first competition. But I remember when I signed up for that competition, my training took itself to a whole new level. And the day of the competition, I was nervous. And I did really well. And the moment I finished it, the one thought I had was regret. I regretted I didn't do it 10 years earlier. Because the fact it made me dial my shit in. It made me focus on training like I'd never focused before. And I went and conquered some fears, and I ended up doing really well. And more importantly, I fucking fell in love with it. And I realized that how much I enjoyed benching and training for bench. None of that would have happened had I not signed up for that first meet. So knowing how powerful that is for my training, I know it's going to be just as powerful for anyone else's training. And if someone takes the time to want to come to a seminar, to invest some time and money to learn how to do a lift better, I know they're ready to fucking compete, or else they wouldn't be doing this. And I know the power that comes with signing up and the focus and the carryover to training and confidence and self-esteem and putting it all on the line and competing. How amazing that is. Why wouldn't I want to be involved in that? Why wouldn't I want to run meets? I run meets because I love powerlifting. I run meets because I always want there to be good meets. Because I've been to meets that are shitty and I've been to meets that are great. I want our meets to always be great. We run great meets and we're always looking to improve them. And to me, a great meet happens when my people that come up to me afterward tell me how much they enjoyed the competition, how well run it was, how excited they were that they competed. How, hey, you were right. You know, the moment I signed up, my training went to the next level, and I wish I would have done it sooner. Because I already know those answers because I've been through it. And I continue to go through it. As I continue to compete, it's the same fucking thing. But it's about taking your shit to the next level. That's the reward. Because if you take yourself to the next level and you put a bigger goal out there, let's go back to business. Let's say we sit there and we say we want to generate $1 million. Or we sit there and we say we want to generate $100,000. Those are both goals. But that bigger one has a lot of power to it. And the simple fact is, whether you reach your goal or not, moving towards that goal has the real benefit. And people say, well, what if you don't reach that goal? Well, that's a very, very good point to make. What if I don't meet that goal? So if I miss the goal of 100,000, I come in and I make 60,000. That's all right. Right? We're talking about business here. We're not talking about getting paid a salary. We're talking about going out and fucking earning that and creating something. It's a very different ballgame. 60 grand isn't something to sneeze at. Now in business, it might not be enough to keep your business going, but again, right? Started with nothing, 60 grand. But what if I fall short of $1 million? But that's $840,000. Yes, I fell short of the $1 million, but look how much fucking further I'd be ahead compared to falling short on 100,000. That's the power of setting a bigger goal. Is that even if you do fall short, you're going to be a lot fucking further ahead than you were before you set that goal. And having that to strive for and that purpose, that's the shit that's going to get you out of bed in the morning. That's the stuff that's going to make you work till 1 a.m. if it has to get done. That's the stuff that's going to make you do things even though you're tired, because you have a big purpose. You've committed to something. That's the power of taking your shit to the next level. It brings out the best in us. It challenges us. It pushes us forward. The status quo won't do that. In fact, even if you're in the status quo, even if you're sitting there and you're saying, hey, this is where I'm at, I'm just settling here, like anything in nature, you're going to start to backtrack. You once were doing a great job at what you're doing because it was exciting and it meant something to you. Now you've been in that job for 20 years. I guarantee you're going through the fucking paces. You're going through the motions. You're probably doing an okay job because you're not pushing forward anymore. The hurdles are going to be there one way or the other. They might as well be worth it. And guys, this is something that I have to remind myself on the days where things aren't going optimally. On the days when I'm running up to a payroll and things are tight. On the days where I'm running up to the rent and I'm like, holy geez, we need a couple good days here. Those things are real. Those things happen. So going back to what we talked about, even earlier on the external forces, it forces me to work on the internal forces, the systems within the business, to make those days further and fewer between. Because when you first start a business, when you first start doing something, you're reacting a lot of times, especially if you don't have a clear vision. And most of us, when we start something new, we don't have a clear vision. I was talking to someone about that just earlier today where, a lot of us just started our business, said, fuck it, we're starting a business, and didn't have a game plan or a long runway or anything to get shit done. But you know what? That fucking fire in the belly, you got shit done. So there's a lot to be said for that, especially early on when we're younger and we have less. When we have less resources, what we do have is energy and time. As we get older and we build other resources, we want to take those resources, our cash, our influence, our assets, and put them to work for us. Leverage them. But you always got to be ready to fucking throw that elbow grease back in and throw that time back in and that energy yourself on the days where it's tough. I'll work 24 hours a day if I have to. Now at 50, hopefully it's short term. It's to get to the next thing or over a hump. But when I was in my 20s and 30s, I just fucking did it because I could do it. The goals now are bigger than they ever have been. The vision is bigger now than it ever has been. And you know what? It's rewarding. It's tougher now than it's ever been too, because they're bigger. But at 50, I'm like, fuck it. I don't have 20 more times to do this. So the lows, when they're low, they come with the territory. When the highs are there, they're deserved and they're earned. But that's about taking your shit to the next level. Whether it's your personal stuff, whether it's your personal growth, whether it's your business, your career, your job, whatever you're into, do it hard. Do it to the next level. Push. Forget about what everyone else is doing at work. Be the best you can be at your work. It's not about being better than the guy beside you. It's about being better than you, better than yourself right now. In business, it's not worrying about your competition. It's about just dominating the sector you're in, about just being the person doing what you want to do and as hard as you want to do it. And when we make our focus about that, about doing the best job we can, building the best business we can, doing the best job we can in our job, and doing what it takes for us to get better to do it, that's when the real fucking progress happens. That's when real success will start to come to us. It might come overnight. It might come in 6 months. It might come in 6 years. It might come in 20 years. But that doesn't matter if you're doing it for the reasons that you're supposed to be doing it for, because it's part of your purpose. If you're doing something to be the best at it just so everyone around you knows you're the best, that's not going to last. That's pretty shallow. And you're going to be at the whim of everybody who fucking has something negative to say about you. But if you're doing something to be the best you can be at it, then it doesn't fucking matter what anybody else says. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing, because they're no longer an influence. You're the influence. Figure out your purpose, guys. And when you know what your purpose is, set a big fucking goal. And then you know what? Take your shit to the next level. That's all I have to say about that, guys. Head on over to iTunes. Leave us a 5-star rating, a positive review. Head on over to Hostile Gear. Get your new Take Your Shit to the Next Level hoodie. I should actually do these whenever I do that. Just come up with one and stuff like that. Kurt, the sales on our Take Your Shit to the Next Level hoodies are horrific. Well, not every idea is going to be a home run, right? Guys, as always, work hard, motherfuckers, and I'll talk to you guys later.